March is coming in like a lion of news, that is. Doesn't make sense, but that's okay. It's here, your board game news roundup for the week of March 4th, 2019.
Wizards of the Coast has announced a new set of Magic cards, but what's interesting about these cards is they actually won't be part of the standard setup. If you don't know, whenever they release new packs, they always go into the standard formula first, which is pretty much all the more recent cards, and then they rotate out. This is sort of to keep everything fresh and make sure that the ever-prevalent strong decks are forced to give up their strong cards and maybe try something new. But this new set is actually designed for the modern style, which is actually based on a different setup of cards, I think back when around Kamigawa Core 9. It's the new border style. You can look it up. There's like 20 different styles for Magic, depending on how you want to play the game. I'm personally a Commander fan. And this pack is actually designed just for that set. So it'll be skipping standard, not going in there. And the reason why that's important is there are a lot of cards they'd want to see in Modern, but would be too strong in Standard and ruin it and everyone wouldn't have fun. But in Modern, it could be a bit more fair. So this is a whole new pack style made just for that. And not only are they just going to have some new cards in there, which we can see two previews, one of which is Sarah, an old Planeswalker, like one of the original early Magic main characters, which is really cool. But they're going to have reprint some cards that were technically not in Modern because they were printed before, but will make them legal. One of the reasons we're reporting on this, even though we're not a heavy Magic channel, is I believe it was last week, maybe the week before.
Just last week.
Just last week. They talked about no longer MSRP with the next set coming out, coming this April, which is War of the Spark. This should be coming out, I think, June 14th, I think it was, if I recall correctly. So I think they did say though, Magic Online, which is their weird online. They have Magic Arena and Online. Online's like the old one. Mm-hmm. The packs would be going for $6.99. But they didn't say a price for physically. So this is going to be where I think a lot of interesting price guides, because I imagine standard packs will still be what you expect to see at Target, probably $3.99. Mm-hmm. But the closest thing we can think of to this set were they had these master editions. This is called Modern Horizon. And those packs could go for like $12.99. Because they had such really powerful cards in them, that people wanted. So it's going to be really weird and curious to see how this goes, especially, like, are we going to see stores offer for like $12.99, or will Amazon and Target, because they're big distributors and the deals that they've made with Hasbro, be able to sell them at, maybe just like $6.99, which would be a big, crippling blow to a lot of local stores.
And it sounds like then Wizards of the Coast is kind of, did they do this, it's going the straight, skipping the format thing. Is it because they had card designs in mind that they just thought were fun and they didn't fit in right, so they wanted to move them somewhere else? And why is this the first time that's happened?
Well, like I said, they had the master sets, which was sort of supposed to be that, in a way, but I think that was only reprints. And what happened there is they usually try to do a theme, and I think other than the first master set, I think they're like 4 or 5, not that many. And the last one, people didn't like them. Like, they didn't really print cards that people wanted as much. So I think this way they could, as you said, instead of just be like, all right, we're actually going to design some cards specifically for that set. Like Commander initially was a fan-made version. But when they started releasing Commander decks personally for Commander, they actually made cards that said, if you're playing Commander, this works that way. So this way they can actually make cards like, okay, we know what the modern landscape looks like, instead of screwing up standard to get into modern.
It's interesting because it definitely sounds like between this and the MSRP thing we mentioned, and even something like Magic Arena, it sounds like they're, for better or worse, they are really switching a lot of things up in a big way.
No, like Magic. This is... without the MSRP, this is a huge boon, I feel. Well, I think it will be a huge boon, and we'll see what happens. Magic fans can be finicky if there's no good cards in there, but I think overall, probably very good. But with the MSRP thing now, I'm like, I don't know what's going on, and they said Magic Online, but I don't know if it said Arena, because that's usually just it's just new. They've only, I think, have like technically 3 sets on there. Which is a really great place for someone to start because it is free to play.
Right.
So it's seeing some of those cards too, and as I said, the 2 cards they revealed are definitely throwbacks to old Magic. They're like, if you know the lore a little bit lower back then, you're like, I know who those things are. So that'd be a really cool addition to Arena to actually be like, to see those old references too. But I don't know if that's what they want to do, because Arena's a little bit weirder. So I'm definitely curious. This definitely is going to see, I think, where we see the first test of what the MSRP does. It's not going to be the standard packs. It will be this. We're going to see how the stores are able to handle it, if it works well for them, if there's a good balance between the Amazon, your big distributors, and your local gaming stores, which I hope there is. If this turns out to work well with the MSRP thing, it's going to be very interesting to watch.
And just like last week, we are following up a Magic story with a Dungeons & Dragons story. D&D has announced that they're coming out with a couple of new books that are specifically aimed at younger players. They're going to be called Warriors and Weapons and Monsters and Creatures, and essentially they're your player's guide and your monster manual for the Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, but they are shorter, they are geared towards kids, more illustrations, and meant to let younger players, or even just newer players, kind of dip their toes in the D&D without being overwhelmed by all the ridiculous stats and numbers that you could get bogged down in reading those hardcore books. These are hardcover books that are going to be 112 pages each, I believe, and they only go retail for $12.99. So very budget friendly, definitely the kind of thing that, you know, if you're like a library or a comic shop and you are trying to get kids into the games.
I mean, if you're just a kid.
Yeah, or if you are a kid. No, I know, because when I was a kid, I did not play Dungeons & Dragons, but I would like pretend to play Dungeons & Dragons. I actually had a monster manual. I don't even know if it was 4th edition or 3rd edition, but I just like to look at the pictures.
You gotta find that.
Yeah, I should find it somewhere. Probably have it. But I just like to look at it and be like, oh, these are cool.
You know, are you kidding me? Like, me as a kid, monsters.
Yeah.
But, you know, I didn't get into role playing and stuff because no one did. But I think if you were interested as a kid in seeing a book, and I think a $12.99 price, convincing your parent to buy, or even if your own allowance, it's much nicer. And to simple it down, because even for me, you know, whenever you go into a new RPG, sometimes it can be a little, okay, I have to read the entire player's manual. Then I should read some of the GM manual to understand this. And if I want to do this race, then I have to read, like, just making it streamlined so that maybe they can have even when they get into regular D&D, they already know how certain things work.
Yeah, I'm curious to find out exactly what areas they change or cut or streamline, how close it aligns with the regular starter set and instruction manual. That'll be interesting to see. And another thing, D&D news also, they are coming out with a Stranger Things box set based on the Netflix show. So I believe it's...
Is it actually you play as the people in the show or their campaign?
I think it's basically the starter set for 5th edition, but it's in a box that looks old school, and I think it has pre-made character sheets for like their characters, and it has a little Demogorgon fake mini. Yeah, so that's kind of fun too. That's going to be only $20. So, you know, it looks like they're trying to spread the love to people who don't have the time and money to go out buying all these $50 books left and right.
We're not done with Hasbro yet, because they have partnered up with Wizkids in order to make miniatures for My Little Pony, Transformers, and G.I. Joe. Wizkids, if you don't know, do a lot of miniatures as well as some board games, and apparently they're really excited to work, of course, with these classics that have once many people have watched as kids, but now grown adults and may buy too many figures of to add to their own line. What's interesting, though, in the article, I don't think it's that big of a thing, but they just say the My Little Pony and Transformers will be available throughout most of North America. They don't say G.I. Joe.
Yeah, I thought that was weird too. The other thing I was not really sure about is they specifically say they're licensing them for miniatures, which I assume means like HeroClix. But they never said the word HeroClix.
That's true, and I also was like, does that mean Transformers hasn't been in HeroClix?
Yeah, I feel like they have, but I could be wrong.
Especially with the Bay movies.
But yeah, does this mean miniatures, like could that be applied to board games, or is it literally strictly miniatures?
I don't know, because wasn't that the thing also with Fantasy Fight with Star Wars?
Right, there's a legal difference between a miniatures game and a board game.
So could we see, because I think, doesn't WizKids do Mage Knight?
Yes, they do.
So could we see a Transformers Mage Knight?
Let's hope not.
Hey, we'll be talking about more crossovers very soon.
Yes, we will. But that's, you know, hey.
I'm definitely curious to see what they do, because I would love, I mean, hopefully more than just HeroClix to see for these characters. And why G.I. Joe is not North America.
And why Hasbro doesn't want to just use Wizards of the Coast. They needed another company that starts with Wiz to publish their miniatures. I guess they specialize in it more.
I don't think when Wizards of the Coast did the board game with the miniatures, that didn't end up too well. So.
Okay, that may be the reason. USAopoly has announced some new licensed games coming our way. First, they have revealed what the first new version of Talisman will be based off of, and that is going to be Talisman Kingdom Hearts. We will talk about that more in a minute. Then they have 3 new games based on It, specifically the movie franchise of Stephen King's It. There's going to be a Clue and a Monopoly based on It, as well as an original new title called It Evil Below, which is a co-op game where players are rolling dice to try to stop the evil It. So let's go back to Kingdom Hearts for a minute. We had talked about a few weeks ago Talisman.
Yeah, when they announced that they were going to combine it with some copyright products. You said Harry Potter, and I said Game of Thrones, and they sort of went like, we're going to keep the magic and stuff, but there'll be some swords too.
Yeah, I did not. I would never have predicted this.
No, I would not.
It's just think about also how weird this is. I mean, Kingdom Hearts already is super weird. Disney and Square products is a strange combination.
That's true. So we're dealing with 2 other companies with this.
Yeah, I mean, that's, God knows what the legal issues look like on that. And then combine that with a board game that didn't seem like most people would have thought you would license it out like you would with a Monopoly, but they are doing it. I don't know.
I will say that I don't think Kingdom Hearts is a bad fit, hypothetically, because, I mean, it's got magic, it's got weapons.
Storytelling is a big part.
One of the other nice things is Kingdom Hearts is sort of finished. You know, I think it's sort of like Sora's Tales wrapped up with 3. I think.
we haven't played it ourselves.
Well, even if we did, have you done all the spin-offs?
No.
So I think that they could be a bit more laxed, I guess, with a board game, which is pretty nice. I think that's a lot of people are gonna be very excited to be able to play the board game and play some of their other characters, because I know, like, for the 3 review, some people were a little disappointed that certain characters didn't get enough love and, spotlight, and the game could allow that.
Yeah, that would be cool. And then you've got It. So, I mean, Clue and Monopoly.
This is, by the way, It is the recent It. All of them are based on that.
Based on the most recent movie, and then presumably they'll tie into the sequel coming out later this year. So, yeah, I mean, I'm hopefully maybe the standalone game will be cool.
The Monopoly and Clue, I'm just like, yeah, that's...
How do you make a Monopoly, though? I mean, also in Clue, didn't Pennywise do it every time? I don't know. I don't know what they're...
Well, it might, because spoiler a little talk here, but isn't he like a shapeshifter?
Yeah, so you're trying to figure out like what
is actually
version
Pennywise?
It is. Maybe.
I mean...
They could do things.
But no, I think the solid board game is where I think I'm more... I think it's possible to make an interesting game based off of the It movie. I mean, I would expect it to be a 1v-all, but I think a cooperative is probably a little bit easier for people to... Because I'm assuming people who watch It doesn't like, oh, that's obviously a board game audience in terms of like hardcoreness. So a 1v-all is definitely a very polarizing, when I think just keeping it full cooperative is a little bit more likely to sell on shelves.
I think it'll look good on a Hot Topic shelf. You will find out when you see all of these games available later this year.
Stronghold Games is relaunching their Kickstarter for their Earthquake-based game. This time it is called Aftershock, San Francisco, and Venice. You can see the differences right on the Kickstarter page, but to summarize it, you will get the Venice expansion in there as well, the optional District 6, which is mentioned in the previous Kickstarter. The name's a little different, so you know it's different from other board games, aka what we talked about last time with Aftershock, the game that was sort of based more to help people who are actually working in earthquake situations. And they took away a lot of the premium components to make it a little lighter and cheaper. So this is definitely nice to see it come back. And I'm curious, the name was literally just, we added a subtitle.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I guess that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of expected it to be a totally different name.
Earthquake Hero.
I also feel like they still could run into trouble where now it sounds just like an expansion for the other game as opposed to its own thing.
I guess maybe, but at the same time, usually you're less likely to be looking for an expansion before the base, so...
Yeah, true. I mean,
if you're a rescue first, like, because it was supposed to be for responders and stuff, if you see one called San Francisco and Venice, you're going to be like, wait, I don't live in San Francisco. That's not what... Is there like one for each country?
Yeah. I guess I wonder
enough.
Was it just like they already had the logo designed that said Aftershock?
So I think so. And I'm like, at least they
did something. Yeah. So
and making it cheaper is nice.
Yeah.
And all the expansion stuff too. That's pretty cool because different maps are always good for that kind of thing.
Yeah. And we will just highlight a few new game releases this week. First, there's Stone Age Anniversary Edition, which is the original Stone Age game with some extra modular stuff thrown in there to enhance it a little bit, hopefully. And just in time for the Captain Marvel movie releasing this week is Captain Marvel Secret of the Scrolls, which is, in fact, a re-theme of the card game Bang, using the Marvel license, so you're trying to figure out who amongst your friends is a scroll. You know, they're evil shapeshifters, of course.
Yes, very excited for that.
Yeah.
But we also got the Transformers card game. The second set just came out, Transformers Rise of the Combiners. I'll be getting my box soon and maybe posting some pictures on Instagram. We'll see if I get lucky.
That's exciting. I've heard...
Once again, Hasbro.
Yeah, they're everywhere these days. What do you know? I've heard that the Stone Age Anniversary Edition is disappointing.
Really?
People have said that it's not that different from the original, and yet it's twice the price of buying the originals. So maybe wait on that one to see what you think. If you're someone who, especially if you're someone who already has Stone Age,
right? Because it's only like a few modules, right?
Yeah, and I guess they're supposed to it's like a new board, I think, but
I think like you had a winter board or something.
Yeah,
I don't know if it actually added things or just looks pretty. I can't remember.
We'll see. But
let us know if you bought it and if you're excited or disappointed, or if you're planning to. And reasons you can, of course, let us know down below in the comment section. And, of course, where are some of the other places they can tell?
Oh, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, our website, rollforcrit.com. Check out all those things.
Even look in your sewers. We might be there.
Yes, we will definitely be luring you down into drain pipes. But until another rainy day comes, I'll be Jonathan.
And I think I'm Will.
And this is the Roll for Crit News Roundup.
Don't forget to click that like button and, of course, subscribe for even more excellent videos.
I subscribed and now I'm rich.